Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be restoring and customizing this little Yatming Toyota Celica or Supra. So on the bottom of this car it says Supra Celica with two P's. I don't know if it was meant to say Super Celica or Supra Celica. But that's what it is, a Celica Supra, or just a Supra. I'm pretty sure they were just based on a Celica, not actually a Celica. So let's take a closer look at it off of the turntable. Now these are not really high quality cars. They're pretty thin casting. The windscreen's not cracked, which is a bonus. It's got that awful green paint job with the blue stripes. It's a bit chipped and worn. Plastic base on it there. It's actually got some okay details underneath. It says Yatming there. You can see where it says Supra Celica, but it's nowhere near the quality of a Matchbox or Tomica or anything like that. So I'll start taking it apart. I'll drill out these two posts. The one at the front was actually a real pain. It was really difficult to get that base off. I ended up doing it off camera. Anyway, there it goes. And the interior and the windscreen there. It's actually quite a well detailed interior. And with that all taken apart, we can use some paint stripper to take the paint off of the casting, and we'll get on the way to seeing if we can make it look a little bit better. Here it is with the paint stripped off it. It's already looking better. That green really did nothing for it. So I'll give it a clean up with the wire brush on my Dremel here. Get rid of the oxidation and any scraps of paint that are still on it. It's looking better and better by the minute. Here it is after a good clean up. Nice and shiny. There's still a couple of rough areas on it though. The front of the bonnet there is a bit rough, and it's got a few chinks taken out of this front left guard here. So I'll start giving them a bit of a clean up with my needle file. I use a half round needle file for most of my cleanup work like this. And after filing, it gets a sand. Also along these side panels, I had to work them down a little bit as there were casting lines on them. It's starting to look a bit better. And then there's also these casting lines at the rear here. I'll get rid of those as well. It's the same process of filing and sanding. Be aware though, when you start sanding away at your die-cast cars, it's really easy to just start sanding the detail right out of them. And so here's our cleaned up Toyota Supra body after a nice coat of black primer. Next thing I'm going to do is just to mask off that back section there. I'm going to give it a classic Supra paint job. I'm going to be painting it red. So here it goes after a couple of coats of red paint. Now I'll just take off that masking at the back and cross my fingers that it's nice and clean. Looking good. Next for some stripes down the side of it. I've got some black stripe decals I've printed out here. So I cut out some 1mm ones to the right length. And I'll just apply them. So I spend a bit of time lining them up as well as I can so they're straight. I'll do the ones on the other side. Now I'm going to add some tail lights to the rear. This is just decal paper that I've spray painted with chrome and then with candy red. And I've printed some Celica license plates here. I only need one, but you always like to mess a couple up while you're cutting them out. I just printed that on standard A4 paper and I've stuck it on the back there with some PVA glue. Onto the interior now. I don't know when this happened, but the dash is broken off there. So I just had to glue that back on with a little bit of super glue. There we go. And now I can start painting it. So I just painted it black here. And what could be more 80s Toyota than some grey seats. We're up to the base now. Here it is. I'll start by popping out these old wheels and axles. I'm going to be replacing those. There's a plastic suspension plate riveted on there. I'm not going to have to take that off. So I start out with a coat of black paint. This looks better than just the plain plastic, and also the next paint I put on will adhere to it better. So I mask off the front bumper there, and I'm going to paint that the same red as the body of the car. So now I'll take off my masking again, hoping I've got nice clean lines. Particularly important to get clean lines on this base because it's pretty tricky to strip that plastic and start again. There we go, that's looking great. And there we go, that's looking really good. The final thing I'll have to do to this is just detail the headlights there. Now to the windscreen. It's not looking too bad. There's a wee crack in the back there, but it's not so noticeable. And it's a little bit scuffed, so I'll just give it a work over with some 2000 grit emery paper. And then a good polish with some plastic polish. And here it is after about 5 or 10 minutes work. Looks nice and shiny now. And finally, these are the old wheels. Actually in pretty good nick, but they just don't look very nice, so I'm going to replace them with these nice aftermarket ones. I haven't test fitted these and they're a little bit bigger, so I know they're going to be a tight fit, but hopefully they'll be fine. And here we are, all of the parts of our Yatming Toyota Celica Supra, refurbished, repainted and ready to go back together. So before we take a look at the finished product, let's take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Here is our scruffy looking little Yatming Toyota. It's really a pretty crappy cheap model that you might not look twice at, like a budget diecast. But I really like Celicas and they're not that easy to find really. So let's see if I can make this cheap one look a bit better. And here it is, our finished custom Toyota Celica Supra, or just Supra. That terrible green and blue paint job is gone, replaced with a nice classic red one, just like one of the originals would have been. It's been detailed inside and out, including a custom license plate there, It's got some nice new wheels on it. To be honest, I didn't really know how this would come out, as it really is quite a cheap sort of a model, but I think it's actually come out looking great. With the new paint job, that casting looks heaps better. I don't really think it looks like a cheap budget model anymore. I think it could sit up beside a Hot Wheels or Matchbox pretty easily now. You can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you used to have any Yatming toys? Do you used to own a Supra, or maybe you still do? They're a pretty cool car, and Toyota made a lot of them. Before I go, a big thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. Extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters who help to support the channel through Patreon. If you'd like to join them and help me keep making videos like this for you to watch, you can check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description below. There's also a link where you can get 10% off of Starbond super glue and accelerants. It's really good stuff. Thanks heaps for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you do and you'd like to see more, you know what to do. Subscribe and click the bell. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.